The first time she walked away, it looked like rejection. The second time, it looked intentional. By the third time, everyone around him quietly agreed that she simply wasn't interested. But sometimes the greatest mistake people make is believing that distance always means a lack of feelings. Sometimes the heart builds walls not because it feels nothing, but because it feels far too much. This is the story of how one quiet decision, one misunderstood silence, and one frightened heart changed two lives forever. If you believe kindness, patience, and second chances can change someone's life, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your support helps us bring more heartfelt stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Every weekday morning, Rowan followed the same route through a peaceful riverside park on his way to work. The sunlight reflected across the calm water while children laughed in the nearby playground and elderly couples enjoyed slow walks beneath rows of green trees. It was there that he first noticed Elara, a young woman who volunteered at a small community reading corner where children gathered after school. She always smiled warmly at everyone else, but whenever Rowan happened to walk nearby, she seemed to become strangely nervous. Sometimes she quickly looked away. Sometimes she suddenly found another task to do. Other days she left entirely before he could even say hello. To anyone watching, it appeared obvious that she wanted to avoid him. Rowan accepted that conclusion because it felt safer than imagining anything else. He had experienced disappointment before, and he respected boundaries too much to chase someone who seemed uncomfortable around him. Instead of forcing conversations, he simply continued his routine. Whenever they crossed paths, he offered nothing more than a gentle smile before quietly moving on. Unknown to him, that simple act of respect was becoming the very thing that slowly transformed Elara's fears. Elara had spent years rebuilding herself after watching her parents' painful marriage collapse under endless arguments and broken promises. She had convinced herself that allowing someone into her heart only guaranteed future heartbreak. Every time she felt an emotional connection growing, her instinct was to create distance before the attachment became too strong. Rowan's calm presence unsettled her because he represented everything she secretly hoped still existed: kindness without expectations, patience without pressure, and genuine respect without manipulation. That frightened her more than rejection ever could. Weeks became months, and the seasons slowly shifted into bright spring afternoons filled with blooming flowers and cheerful families enjoying the warm weather. Rowan never tried to interrupt Elara's space. Instead, he quietly volunteered during weekend charity events organized by the same community center. He helped paint classrooms, repaired broken benches, carried books for elderly visitors, and entertained children with simple games. He never performed these acts hoping she would notice. He simply believed small acts of kindness mattered. Ironically, the less attention Rowan demanded, the more impossible it became for Elara to ignore him. She watched from a distance as people naturally gravitated toward him. Children trusted him. Elderly neighbors appreciated him. Volunteers admired his humility because he never sought praise. She realized he behaved exactly the same whether she was present or not. There were no performances. No attempts to impress. Just quiet consistency. Still, fear remained stronger than courage. Whenever Rowan accidentally met her eyes, Elara instinctively looked away. Whenever he walked close enough to exchange greetings, she suddenly remembered another responsibility elsewhere. Every escape brought immediate relief followed by overwhelming regret. She often sat alone beneath a large oak tree overlooking the river, wondering why protecting her heart felt so lonely. One bright Saturday afternoon, the community center hosted its largest family festival of the year. Colorful decorations filled the park while local musicians played cheerful songs beneath clear blue skies. Rowan spent hours helping children build handmade kites before joining volunteers serving meals to families in need. During the busy afternoon, a frightened little girl became separated from her parents. Panic spread quickly through the crowd. Without hesitation, Rowan calmly knelt beside the crying child, gently comforted her, and organized volunteers to search the festival grounds without causing more fear. Within minutes, the girl's parents were reunited with their daughter. Tears of relief filled everyone's eyes as the family embraced. Standing several yards away, Elara witnessed everything. She realized something powerful in that moment. Rowan never rushed toward problems seeking recognition. He quietly became the calm everyone else needed. His strength wasn't loud. His kindness wasn't temporary. It was simply part of who he was. For the first time in years, Elara understood that her greatest obstacle wasn't trusting another person. It was believing she deserved someone who cared that deeply. Days later, instead of walking away, she remained seated at the reading corner as Rowan approached with a donated box of children's books. He smiled exactly as he always had, warm, respectful, and free from expectation. This time she didn't run. She simply smiled back. Nothing dramatic happened that afternoon. There were no perfect speeches or movie-like confessions. They spent several hours organizing books, helping children choose stories, and laughing over the excitement of young readers discovering new adventures. The silence between them no longer felt uncomfortable. It felt peaceful. As weeks passed, friendship naturally replaced uncertainty. Rowan never asked why she had avoided him. Elara eventually shared pieces of her past when she felt ready. She admitted that every step backward had never been because she disliked him. She had been terrified of caring too much. Rowan listened without judgment because he understood something many people never learn: sometimes fear disguises itself as distance. Not everyone who walks away wants to leave. Some are simply waiting to believe their heart will be safe. Their story reminded everyone around them that love rarely begins with perfect confidence. Sometimes it begins with patience. Sometimes it begins with understanding. And sometimes the strongest feelings hide behind the quietest actions. If this story touched your heart or reminded you of someone who was simply afraid of loving again, please support this video by liking, sharing it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Your kindness helps these stories reach people who may need hope today. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever mistaken someone's fear for rejection, or has someone misunderstood yours? As the afternoon sun slowly settled across the peaceful riverside park, Rowan and Elara watched children laugh while colorful kites danced against the bright blue sky. Nothing about their beginning had been easy, yet perhaps that was exactly what made it beautiful. Because sometimes the person who seems to be running away isn't avoiding love at all, they're simply afraid that if they stop running, they'll finally find the happiness they've spent their whole life searching for.